Hey, you guys. Hello, and happy Friday. Happy Friday. My laptop is just rocked a little bit. I'm like, is it an earthquake? Listen, not right now. Hello, you guys. Happy Friday. I am so happy to be here tonight once again. I'm so glad that it's Friday. I know you are. I'm sure you've had a long work week just as I have. And so, if for no other reason, I just want to get a little rest. Y'all know it's not really common that I do that, but I am going to try my best to do it. So again, happy Friday. Welcome, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me tonight for the show. Let's be clear. I am honored to be hosting this show. For those of you who do not know who I am the creator of the show. Let's be clear. The name of my business is Make It Rise, and RISE is an acronym for Rebuild Intentionally and Strategically for Effectiveness. And God gave me this vision for this talk show like 2 years ago. Almost 2 years I've been running it. And I go live bi-weekly. For the past 2 years, there's been maybe a couple of months where I've done just like nothing for the month in preparing and resting and just getting myself together so that I am available for the things that God is dropping in my spirit. I don't just come up with stuff to talk about, right? I like to be spirit led when it comes to the series or the topics that we share, because a vision, my mission and goal with this show is to help somebody, right? And if I am just pulling stuff out the hat, like, nah, let me just talk about this because I've experienced it, it doesn't mean that the people that need to be touched will be touched. So I attempt every single time to make sure that it is a topic or a series that God has given me. And when that happens, I know that even if there's one person that get helped, my job has been done. So that is what we do here over at Let's Be Clear, the land of Let's Be Clear, right? And so we just want to be clear with everything that we talk about and understanding that it's not just you. And that is why I bring my guests that come on. They have experienced the stuff that we're talking about. And not only that, they are willing to share their experience, right? I truly believe that our transparency is someone's road to recovery. My transparency is someone's road to recovery. It's not about me. Sometimes we're so selfish and we say, why me? Why me? Oh, it should have been this person, or I'm too good at this, and I pay my tithes. I'm a good person, and I feed the homeless, and all these different things, which makes us think we do not, we should be exempt from experiencing things that put our backs up against the wall or make us feel a little doubtful of, who God is in our lives. But not so. Sorry to tell you that. Um, so again, I want to say welcome. I do have an amazing guest that I am going to bring on tonight. A couple of weeks ago, we had, and let me back up. Let me back up. The name of this series is Marriage versus Dating. Is it a thin line? Is there a thin line between dating and marriage? I'm gonna say yes, right? The quick answer, the short answer to that is yes. But there's a lot of but whys, right? And so the topics that we are sharing during this series, I hope will help us get to the why from the what. So last week, a couple of weeks ago, we had Dr. Crystal Walker. She helped me kick this thing off, right? And we talked about how thin the line is, right? Is the line really thin? And one thing that she left us with is, or two things that she left us with was was standard and expectations, right? She said that while dating, there's expectations. So when we're dating someone, we're expecting certain things from them. We're expecting the things that we want in our lives. We want to carry on into if we get married, right? But once we say I do, now there's some standards. There's some things I'm holding you accountable to, right? And so she shared and broke that thing down so good. And if you guys did not catch that show, please go back and watch it. It is on my Facebook page, Make It Rise, and on our YouTube page as well, Make It Rise. But tonight we are going to be talking about committing. how do you commit? What is committing, right? Committing. Do you commit while you're dating, or do you wait until you say I do, right? And if you commit while you're dating, like, what does that look like in action? So I have another one of my doctors, another one of my sister friends, my girlfriends, Dr. Kanisha Bennett. I can see her in the background, you guys. She's sniggling and giggling. Y'all can't see her, but I'm gonna bring her pretty self on shortly. But I have her coming on, and she is going to help me hopefully lay out some things for you all, talking about committing and the importance of it. And so I'm going to bring her in and allow her to introduce herself the way that she like. And I also want her to share a little bit about what it is that she does. Yeah, shameless plug. Go ahead and do it first, sis. I'm about to bring her in, you guys, and I want y'all to help me welcome Dr. Kanisha Bennett. Hey, lady.
Hello. Hi.
How are you?
I am well.
Good. As I said before we actually got started live, I thank you, and I want to thank you before the people. Thank you once again. I know how busy your schedule is, and your yes means a lot to me, right? And honestly, your yes isn't to me, and it's not to you, but it's to God. You know, we have to understand and remember that in each compartment of our lives, we either have an option to say yes or no. And so you clearly felt that this was important enough for you to say yes to, because I know that you believe that it's going to help somebody. And so I say thank you. I appreciate you for being a part of Let's Be Clear and helping me push the vision of it by just saying yes. So go ahead and introduce yourself to the folks.
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. My name is Dr. Kenisha Bennett. I am the owner and founder of Anointed Feet Dance School and Anointed Hands Hair, both located in Hawthorne, California. And actually, Tam's daughter, Imari, was one of my students. So that's how we connected before then, but we connected even more through Imari being at the studio. So I'm all things dance and hair, all things creative.
Yes, I love it. And when I say that she is all things creative, you be like, wait, what? Imari used to come home and say, Mommy, oh my God. And I'm like, girl, please. I took a couple of her workout classes. I said, yeah. Imari, my legs. Oh my God, right? I get it. I understand, babe. But Kanisha, thank you so much. And thank you for serving. You know, that is a role of a servant. You chose that. You chose to say yes. No, I'm not going to say you chose to do it. God gifted you with that, and you said yes, because you could have been like, yeah, no, I don't want to do that. So I say thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I know it's a lot. But you're committed, which brings us to tonight's topic, talking about committing. You know, when I looked up the word commit, I actually broke it into two, and I looked at co, and then I looked at mit, right? And really, I was like, I didn't know mit was a word, but okay, amen, right? So when I looked at co, it says that it's mutual, joint, with, together, right? And then mit is combined. It's a combining form. So that makes sense that when we commit, we are committing to something. We are bridging something together. It's not just the individual thing. It is you saying yes, as I've been stating. It's you saying yes to something, right? Whatever that something is. And because we're talking about relationship, dating, and marriage, we're going to say it's you saying yes and joining together with a person and what their vision or their mission is in life, And so I want to know from you, when you hear the word commit, like what do you think about? How would you define that?
Commitment to me means no going back. There's it, Commitment means commitment. It means staying the course,
Yeah.
the course, and committing to all of it. If we go back to, like you were saying, before we even get to the relationship, we go back to the commitment and the saying yes. As far as even I talk about this in my book, the commitment and saying yes to the vision that God gave me for Anointed Feet. I said no initially. I said no. Like, there were so many other things I could do. There's so much money I could have made in other industries and doing other things. But when he pulled me and he tugged on me, and I gave that final yes, I will do what you told me to do. Like, there is no other place I can ever see myself. People bring up old jobs I had. I'm like, there, all I see is where Anointed Feet is going. So when I think about commitment, for me, it's laser focused.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's overcoming it and that laser focus. So we talk about now the relationship, dealing with men and commitment. It's that laser focus.
You
I'm
better
going to
be.
commit to all of you, all of you.
Yeah.
And there's no turning back. There's no looking back. But how do we press past the good
Yeah.
days and the bad days? Commitment means we have now joined together and there's no looking back.
Absolutely, yes, and I love the way you broke that down. But pause right there, real fast. You said your book. So, what's the name of your book?
Oh, yeah. Activate the call.
Yeah,
It's a book about activating the call and the purpose that God has given you. When I talk about the tug and me saying no initially to what I already knew God gave me as a child.
yeah,
And of course, got older, went out in the world, experienced other things, and I was like, nope, I'm not doing that. And then
yeah.
He pulled the plug on me. And so in my book, I tell my story of the ride I went through, the ups and downs I went through until I finally stood in my activation and my purpose. And now there's no turning back.
Because you're committed.
Because I'm
Absolutely,
committed.
I
Absolutely.
love it. I love it. So, in all of that, and you spoke about saying no, right? But then having to get laser focused. And I personally believe, and I use that often. I always say I'm laser focused. Like, even when I talk about dating, I'm the type of person that cannot date multiple people at one time. I tried it. It didn't work, right? I felt, and this is no shade to anyone because to each his own, but I just felt kind of dirty and I didn't feel like I was giving an individual my all, right?
Yeah.
I felt as though um, we're here, and then as soon as you do something that I don't care for, I'm not even giving that an opportunity to work that out because I'm like, oh, okay, well, on to the next, or I'll go over here for dinner. I don't really need to. When you get your stuff together, I'll be back. But when we are focused on one thing, it helps us to work through those things, like you said, the good, bad, and the ugly. If there is only one person that you're focusing on, when you are laser focused, I think understanding what the goal is, right? First. So
Absolutely.
when you begin to date someone, what is the goal? Are we just hanging out? Because
Right.
if that's the case, then not too much is going to bother you. It's just fun, right?
Yeah.
But if
Right.
the goal is if I am dating with a purpose, right, with the purpose to get married, with the purpose of really trying to figure out who this person is, there's some things that I am going to have to commit to. There's some things that I am going to have to say, you know what? Although I don't like that, let me find out the why. Like, why does he do
Absolutely.
these things, right?
Absolutely.
It doesn't mean that it's a red flag. It just means that it's something that I have not experienced or I don't like.
Right.
But effectively communicating that could probably help us push past that, when we talk
Absolutely.
about committing. So you're married, correct?
Yes.
Okay. How long have you been married?
10 years. It'll be 11 years in September.
Awesome. So, my question to you is, when you all dated, and tell us, like, how long were you dating, and were you in the mindset of committing at the time, or was that something that grew on you? And who taught you how to commit? Like, where did that come from? What was your example?
I'm laughing because my husband's not here, but if he here, he thinks he tells the better version of the story. So funny enough, we've been friends. We met ninth grade high school, so over 22 years ago. At the time, I had a boyfriend. He did not have a girlfriend, but there was a connection that we initially had. But I am a committed person, so
Okay.
I knew that there was something about my husband in ninth grade, and like all my friends knew, but I was committed to the person that I was dating at the time. And
Right.
so we were friends. We were high school friends. We actually did not start dating until a year into I moved to Florida for grad school. But
Mm,
now we had been friends maybe 6 or 7 years by now.
Wow.
And we didn't actually start dating until I moved away to Florida for grad school, and we reconnected. So we were friends for a long time. We reconnected. We dated for about 3 years before he proposed. But we also had a long distance relationship in the beginning of our dating. So
Wow.
to
That takes commitment in itself.
yes, yes. So he was still here in Los Angeles while I was in Florida, and so that was the beginning of our relationship, a long distance relationship.
Wow.
But
So
we had already had a friendship for so long.
yeah. Now, was that hard dating, like having a long distance relationship? Like, what was the trust factor in that?
It was, I will not say it was super hard, because like I said, we were friends for so long
Mhm.
that I feel like immediately when we started dating, the commitment level was already at 1,000.
God.
So like my husband will say now, he told his high school friends when he knew me in high school, like, oh, that's gonna be my wife. Like that's his story. I'm gonna let him stick to
God.
it. He told people in high school that I was going to be his wife. Around my freshman year in college, I began to start saying, now we still were not dating. I began to tell my best friend that he was my husband.
Wow.
So at the time I didn't know, but the Holy Spirit was doing something in the both of us.
Yeah.
And we lost contact for a little while, but when we reconnected, it was an immediate connection that had been hanging on for years and years and years. And so when we finally made that commitment, we both said that this was it, because we knew years ago that there was something about each other that connected us, and we just couldn't put our hands on what it was.
Yeah.
And so I think the most that we struggled with in the long distance was missing each other,
Yeah.
not having the physical touch of hugs, so things like that. But I mean, we literally talked all day long. Like, I think that established our relationship and who we
Yeah.
were and the commitment level. We were 3 hour, there was a 3 hour time difference. But it didn't matter. One of us was staying up late, one of us was getting up early. We spent a lot of money because we traveled a lot.
I'm sure.
um, we did see each other at least once a month, but that's another level of commitment because
Right.
we're college kids, and
Yeah.
we figured out what money we would make and or spend to travel,
Yeah.
to see each other, to spend time together. I was touring after I graduated from grad school. I was touring dancing professionally, and Cordell would meet me in every city that we toured in.
I love. Now that's commitment, right?
Literally.
I
I
love
mean, whether he drove or whether he
Wow.
flew, I would say the only place he did not visit was Africa, and that's because he couldn't figure out how to get there.
Right. Like I can't meet you there, baby, but I'm there in spirit, right?
Absolutely.
And
And so,
commitment and support. Commitment in support looks different depending on
yeah,
the circumstance.
absolutely. Absolutely. And so it wasn't as hard as we thought it would be, but
Okay.
we were willing to do the work to make it work because we
Yeah.
knew that there was this connection that we've had as kids together that we never, that never flourished until we became adults and in college.
Yeah.
And so it was for me, like you said, the support that he shown.
Yeah.
Um, I was a dancer traveling in college. Like, he could have been like, I'm not into dancing, I don't care about that. Now,
Yeah.
whether now I think he likes my dancing more than he did back then.
Yeah.
That's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
However, like, I don't know if he was watching the dances or not when he's sitting in the audience. But the
Yeah.
fact that he would show up and be there meant so
Yeah.
much to me. In
Absolutely.
whatever state I was in. That meant so much. And so that spoke volumes, to where our relationship was going way before we even talked about marriage.
Yeah, yeah. I love that you said you talk about how he supported you. I think it's so important that we understand that support, man, it could take the relationship to another level. And one thing that I like to share with the ladies that I speak with often is that support looks different from everybody, right?
Mhm.
And sometimes and I know I've done this in past relationships. My way of thinking was your way of supporting me is by doing what I do, right?
Absolutely.
And I felt like if you aren't at least trying to do what I do, you're not supporting me. But, with that experience, I learned that what I was doing was expecting me from someone that wasn't what God gave them, right? And so the guy that I'm currently dating is teaching me through how he support right me what support really looks like. And so it is learning what your person does, right?
Absolutely.
Supporting it how you support it, not showing up
Absolutely.
on the side of you doing it with you. But
Right.
if that means making a few errands, showing up where you perform, right? Speaking life in those places that she see death in or a breakdown in, right? Doing research to understand why you do, understanding your passion and not putting theirs before yours, right? Communicating, listening to, right? Some of the things that I want you to do is, hey, I'm writing this book. This chapter I finished. Can you read that for me? Tell me what you think, right? Give me your feedback. I don't need you to sit down and write it with me. I don't need you to give me, your words or anything like that. Example, my father passed, 6 years ago. I hadn't really dealt with grieving his death because I was grieving the death of my marriage, right? I had to choose one or the other. And it was my marriage. I'm going to deal with this. And then I just put dad on the back burner thinking I'll be good. But just here recently, I realized that, there's some things I still need to deal with, right? My honey's, his support to me is, man, bigger than I ever thought, it would be. And that's just being there to listen, to take me to the cemetery, to go buy the flowers for, just doing those odd end things that I used to feel like I could do that myself, So committing looks so different, just as support looks very different. And so as you talk about how committed you were with dating, what was your example? What was the best example you've seen as commitment? What relationship showed you how to do what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. That was definitely my mom and my dad. Well, my mom and my stepdad. They've been married since I was 6 years old. So my stepdad has been in my life, and my dad has always, my biological father has always been
Yeah.
in my life. But my mom and my stepdad have been together since I was 6. I've seen their good days. I've seen their bad days. And now I don't know who they are. They just like little kids in a candy store that can't stop touching each other
I love
and
it. I love it.
and all kinds of stuff. But it is a blessing to watch and see.
Yeah.
I saw when they struggled when we were children. And of course, I was a child, so I didn't know the ins and the outs of what was happening. I knew there were things happening and there were issues. But to see my parents now tells me that there's a testimony and there's a commitment. And my mom always says there is no, you got to commit. You've got to press through. You've got to love. You have to forgive. You have to, she tells me that all the time. And to see they've been married, I'm probably giving the wrong number, but about 30 something years, over 30 years.
Yeah.
Been married over 30 years. And every day was not a good day. And I've been a witness to see that every day is not a good day, but the fact that they're still married over 30 years teaches me about commitment and support and loving through and pressing through whatever those bad days could be. And so my mom and my dad have been a phenomenal example to me and my siblings.
Yeah, I love that. And I've watched them personally. Like, look at them. I love it. I love to see things like that. But I understand exactly what you're saying. As a child, we don't quite understand, the gist of what they're going through. But I think it's important for us to see that every day is not a happy-go-lucky day, right?
Absolutely.
Because that is what teaches us to hang in there. And some would say, but if you're not happy, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you learn what works for your household. You learn what works in your relationship, right?
Absolutely.
If we need to go to counseling, then let's do that. But my thing is, do everything that you can before you go to the other side of this thing. Because I read a post today, and it said, being married is hard, being divorced is hard. Choose your heart, right? So yeah, choose your heart. Either way, you're going to go through something emotionally, right? And I prefer to do the work to make it work versus just throwing in the towel. So you've witnessed over 30 years of one couple do the work. You've seen the good, you've seen the bad, and I'm sure now as an adult and a married woman with children, you completely get it.
Absolutely.
You completely get it. And it's not always easy to say, you know what, let's just push through this thing. Sometimes it feels like it's easier to say, you know what, forget it.
Right.
I don't have time for it, or I don't want to have time for it. I choose not to.
Yeah.
But choosing to push through says that you are committed to not the man. So when it's a godly marriage, and I know that you have that, the commitment is not to your spouse.
Absolutely.
The commitment is to God, the person, the God that you said I do to, not necessarily what you see, because oftentimes what we see is not what we don't want that, right? So we have to look past what we see, and we have to say yes every single day. I think commitment is saying yes every single day.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah. And reminding yourself of why you said I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I commend you for even at 10 years, because like I said, nowadays people aren't doing 10 days,
right?
Let alone 10 years, because society has told us that if you don't like it, then you just get a new one, right?
Right.
Not the case.
No.
Not the case. So I appreciate the fact that you are sharing a little bit about your family, your immediate family, you and your husband, and then also your parents, right? And sharing that it wasn't always a good day. They had to go through some things to get to where they're at today, like little kids in the candy store, right?
Absolutely.
And I always think, like, when as you're growing in your relationship and in your marriage, and you have children in the home, the focus is usually, and the commitment is usually for the kids, right? These kids, and I'm going to do this, and I got to do that, but then when the kids leave, that is when the rubber hits the road, and you realize, I really like this person, or I don't.
I really don't. Right. Right.
And I'm sure that you've experienced that, not necessarily just in your home, but just coming across different people. You have siblings that are married, that are in relationships, your parents, your friends, and I know for me, there's many people that I've had to talk off the cliff, don't do it. It's so much greater to do the work, right? Stay committed. And then questioning, what are you committed to? So if I'm committed to, let's talk about the vow and our vows, through good and bad, sickness and health, and richer or poor, we commit to all of the things that put a smile on our face. What would you say committing to those things that we never choose for our marriage to experience? What does that look like? Like the sickness, or poor, when the money isn't looking the way it used to look, or somebody has gained weight, somebody has lost weight, somebody has lost hair, all of those things, the exterior that's like, oh, okay, now what happened? How do you stay committed to that?
Yeah, no, that's good. That's real good. Lots of prayer. And honestly, lots of prayer, and going back to the why. Why did I say yes, and what did I say yes to? Yeah. When you think about, when I think about, I got married young. I was 25. I was the kid in the candy store, excited about this man that I finally dated, that I've liked for so long. Mm-hmm. And you don't think about anything else other than that person right now. Ooh, he's so fine. He got this, he got that. You
Yeah.
know, that's how I'm, and this is gonna be marriage for a lifetime. Like
Yeah.
this is gonna be it. And then, like you said, I mean, you see my husband, he bald now. Um, you know, he wasn't bald in high school. Well, we were dating, you know, and so thinking, you know, through all those things and communicating and talking about it and making sure that there's a conversation about it and asking each other questions. You know,
Yeah.
my weight fluctuates up and down. I've had 3 kids, and asking those questions like, hey, babe, what do you think about when I get extra skinny? Or what do you think about when I put on these pounds? Like asking those questions and being
Right.
open and honest.
Yeah.
Honesty is so important, really being open and honest about the real deal. Like, what do you
Yeah.
see? And being honest about what you don't like and why. And knowing that because I'm committed, I don't want to say it doesn't matter because I'm committed to you regardless that
Yeah.
you bald now or we're going like I don't have edges. So, you know, are you okay with the fact that I
Right.
don't have edges no more?
Yeah.
Because when we started dating, I had edges,
Full
okay?
head. Right.
You're right, full head. I had 3 kids, now I have no edges. Um, you know, and so a lot of that is we had to really work on continuing to compliment each other. We had a
Yeah.
full conversation about, you know, my husband used to tell me I was beautiful before we were married. He would tell me I was beautiful day in, day out, all day, every day.
Yeah.
And then I noticed a stop in that. And so it brought up some insecurity things that I dealt with in my childhood, started to come up in my marriage about my insecurities and not feeling beautiful.
Yeah.
And when I had to stop and have that conversation with him, like, hey, do you still think I'm beautiful? And of course, his reaction is, yeah, like, why? Well,
Right.
why would you ask me that?
Yeah.
And I had to explain to him, you know, you used to tell me I was beautiful every day. Now I haven't heard it in a few. So having those conversations
Yeah.
that are real about your feelings because
Right.
we committed to this. And so you can't go a month without telling me I'm not pretty. You
Right.
can't do that. You've
Right.
committed. You've committed to telling me I'm beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've committed to let you know that you are handsome. Whether
Yeah.
you've gained weight or lost weight, I love you in all of it. And I'm
Yeah.
going to be real and honest and say, hey, I did like when you lost a couple of pounds, but having those real and honest
Transparent.
conversations with each other and not being afraid to have those real and honest conversations.
I love it. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to be real transparent right now. So, many people know, and some do not know, that I have alopecia, right? And so I have a spot in my head, and I wore some braids. I had braids, and the way that I wore them, I think I like bent over or something, and like the braids moved, and then you can see the spot. And the guy that I'm dating, we were together and we were shopping. I believe we were at a store, at a clothing store. And the way he handled that, girl, I was like, I do. The way he handled that was very mature, for one, because we hadn't really had a discussion about it because it was one of my insecurities, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to share that with someone new. You don't know if but it was fair for me to share that with him. I should have said that from top, you know? But we messed around with it a little bit. You know, he knew that there were some scalp issues, but not full, and I didn't really give him the real, right? So the braid moved over, and he was standing behind me, and he just walked up to me and whispered in my ear as he fixed it and said, "Babe, your spot is showing. Let me fix this for you, right?" And then he says, "Go to the restroom and make sure it's good." And there was so many emotions that were going on at the time. Like I wanted to cry because I was embarrassed, but then I was happy, and I was like, "Oh my God!" It was just so much going on. And I think he could tell because I kind of froze. And he was like, "You okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm good." So I go to the bathroom, I fix it, and come out. We didn't even have a discussion about that, right? It was just, I know. But later on, we did. You know, I had to explain to him how it made me feel and the insecurity that come from that. And it's very shallow. I would say it's very shallow, but everyone have what they want. So I can't really say it's shallow. If he would have said, I don't like that, and so
Right.
I choose to remove myself from getting to know you better because of that. And that would have been his choice. But when we talk about being very honest
Mm-hmm.
about what our isms and schisms are, I think it's very important for us to do that on the front end of dating or a relationship. And
Absolutely.
so, thank you for sharing that because it actually helped me to remember something that he did that showed me that he's committed.
Yes.
And I love it. So, I know we talked about you being committed and your husband being committed before the I do. Did the commitment, do you feel like it changed a little bit because you said I do, or commitment is commitment?
I feel like commitment is commitment.
Hmm.
Um, of course, you live with someone and things change, and you find out more about a person that you didn't know.
Right.
Um, but again, you go back to that commitment. I mean, I use this example all the time. We have our non-negotiables, right, before we get married.
Right.
Um, but then after you get married, you have the what am I? I can't think of the word, but what am I not going to argue about today? You make a deciding factor.
Right.
As a young woman, I have my non-negotiables. He got to do this. He got to have this. He got to be able to do this. He got to cook. He got to clean. Because
Yeah.
I don't want to cook. I could clean, but I don't want to cook. I'm gonna just say I'm cooking the house now. So then you decide in your marriage, and I learned this from my mom. Which argument are you gonna pick today? Because you committed. So
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
argument are you gonna pick? Are you gonna argue with him for not picking his socks up on his side of the bed?
Yeah.
Are you gonna move on and not choose a sock as an argument? So I learned that from my mom, choosing your arguments,
Yeah.
because you've committed your non-negotiables that happened while you were dating have now adjusted and changed. But the
Yeah.
commit because you've committed, now you really committed. So now I'm not gonna argue with you every day about the trash. I'm not gonna argue with you every day about your side of the bed.
Right.
Because at this point that goes out the window. We done committed to this thing now. And so
Right.
now your side of the bed could be whatever it wants to be.
Right. Right. Right.
we, got, we,
Absolutely.
got,
Choose your
we
pick
got
and
bigger
choose
fish
it
to fry.
wisely.
Exactly. So choosing it wisely. And so the commitment level, I guess I would say, goes up, especially we have 3 children. And so,
Yeah.
learning, now I would say when we have children, we learn that we were raised differently. So
Yeah.
how do we continue
Ooh,
to commit
that's
to
good.
each other when we see parenting differently? And how do we bring the ideas of how both of our sides of the family raised us and commit to creating an environment for
That's
our
it.
own family?
That is it right there. You have to commit to letting go of what mom did, what dad did, because it may have worked for them, but it may not
Absolutely.
work for us. So you have
Absolutely.
to commit to recreating, not even recreating. You have to commit to creating what worked
Absolutely.
for your family, because too often marriages are messed up as a result of what my daddy used to and my mama used to, right? You cannot expect your parent from your wife or from your husband. I
Absolutely.
did that. In my marriage, I expected my dad from my husband, and they're
Mhm.
two different people. So, how my
Absolutely.
dad was raised, a country boy. And so, that's completely different from being raised as a city boy, right?
Right.
So, my ex
Right.
husband is a city boy. There's things that he just didn't put as a higher value than my dad. Yeah, okay, he takes trash out. Yes, he will put gas in the car. He will wash the car. But my dad was like, I must. There is no
Absolutely.
I will. I must take
Right.
the trash
Correct.
out. The boys must take the trash out. I share a story all the time about the trash with when I was married. I'd wait like he worked graveyard. The girls do not take trash out. We're gonna wait until 6 o'clock the next morning for this man to come home after working 12 hours just to take trash out. And that was very selfish of me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That was not okay for me to think like that. Oh, but the way I think now is completely different. I'm just saying. But we this is what we do. We bring in what our parents did and what our aunts did and something we've read, right? Something
Right.
that we because every opinion that we have derived from an experience.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's from an experience. And so I love that you said that we have to create what works for us. And coming in as singles, no children, and now we have kids, that gives you another level of learning each other.
Absolutely.
So, if I could recommend to anyone that's listening, before even stepping into the I do shoes or having a child with someone, those are conversations that you need to have. We need to
Absolutely.
talk about finances. Like, what's your relationship with money, right?
Right. Right.
And somebody's going to be stronger in one area than the other. And it's okay to say, well, that will be your role, right? Just
Right.
because the world has said men should do this and
Men.
women should do
Yep.
that. But if
Yep.
I'm better in that area, why not allow me to take reins on that, right?
Absolutely.
So talking about our parenting experience, right? What do you think? How do you think we should do as parents? What do we pour into them? Do we talk about the birds and the bees, or do we let the school of hard knocks teach them? Like, what are the things that we are going to commit together to doing for our children, for our household, before getting there? I think we set ourselves up
Absolutely.
by being reactive and not proactive.
Right. Absolutely.
I really do.
Absolutely.
So, Miss Kanisha, if you could leave the guest with anything as it relates to just committing, what would that be? Something that they can carry on with them after this show is over.
Um, Commitment is your complete yes. Yes, in all things good, the bad, and the ugly. And as Tam said, when you set up like, so you're setting up your dating relationship, know your goals. I knew when I dated my husband that I wanted to marry him. Now, the people I dated before, that wasn't the goal, but I knew, so what are your goals? And I know that if I'm committing that this is the man that I want to marry, then let's make a plan, or let's create a plan as best as we can, knowing that that plan will change and it will adjust as your commitment level changes and adjusts. But your yes is your yes, and committing to that yes. Also, making sure that God is the forefront of your marriage. Um, I would say that that has gotten stronger and stronger over the years of my marriage, and I can say and be honest that it wasn't at the forefront in the beginning. It was the kids in the candy store who loved
Yeah.
each other and wanted to get married. But as you get married and you hear people say marriage is work, it is work. But as long as God is the head of your household,
Yeah.
just listening like to the commitment level of my husband, as we've been doing 21 days of prayer and fasting, and listening to his prayers change. He has committed to this
Wow.
21-day prayers and fasting. And that's a huge deal. So I know when he sees this, he'll be, don't tell everybody my business. But he has made the commitment, because we are fasting and praying for some things. And the Cordell and the Kenisha that is now is not the Cordell and Kenisha that was 10 years ago. The
Yeah.
commitment level in our walk with Christ, we understand that the higher level commitment of our individual walk with Christ impacts our walk together, our
That's
commitment
good.
together. So the deeper we each individually continue to walk with Christ, the more connected we are. Our children, they pay attention to every single thing we do. Let
Yeah.
me tell you, every single thing we do. And so they understand what commitment looks like. They understand, they see when mommy and daddy aren't happy with each other, and they will check us first.
Yeah.
They will check us first, because they have seen the commitment level that we have to each other. They have seen the commitment level that we both have to God, and him being the forefront of our marriage. And so even walking that and living that and being an example in front of them, they will check us about our commitment. Hey,
Yeah.
mommy, y'all was arguing. Did you check on daddy? Did you call daddy? Did you call mom?
Yeah.
They will check us.
I
And
love
that's because we are living that committed life in front of them and saying yes to each other, like you said in the beginning, Tam, saying yes every day.
Yeah, I love it.
I would definitely say, I remember I said at my best friend's wedding, you know, I was told when I got married, never go to sleep mad. I'll be honest and transparent. I didn't live that a lot in the beginning. I went to sleep mad.
Yeah.
And I would be mad at myself because I don't like to be mad in general. I'm just not that type of person. So when I would go to sleep mad, I'd be like, dang, they told me not to go to sleep mad. That was the first thing they told me when I got married.
Right.
And some days it happened. But waking up refreshing and say, I'm saying yes to you again. I'm saying yes every single day. I'm committed to you. I'm committed to making this work. So commitment is saying yes every single day and committing that God will be the forefront of your marriage every single day, no matter what it looks like, and that He will be the head and you will go to Him as your counselor as well to help you see you through it all. So
yeah, that's good. Everything that you just said just reminds me of the Dr. Walker, Crystal Walker, when she said standards versus expectations. So you're saying, like, your children, you've shown your children that there's a standard when you're married, right? And so they're calling you out on it because you are being the example. And so the same way that your parents were examples to you, you and your husband are being the same for your children. And I love it. I love it. I love it. And I thank you because you're raising somebody's husband.
Absolutely. I say that every day.
You are raising somebody's husband, right?
Absolutely.
And so it goes so much it goes so much further past what you see today. You see the little 4-year-old, the 7 and the 12-year-old, but who will he be to his wife at 26? You got married at 25. So let's say they get married at 25. Who will he be as a result of what we have poured into him at 25? Will I be a proud parent? Will I say, I did that? Or will I say, oh my God, I did that? Right? Absolutely. And we have to be mindful of that and not just think about today. So I thank you, Dr. Kenisha, for coming on and sharing with us once again, you guys. I appreciate the viewers that are here. You guys make sure you like and you share, and hopefully something was said and shared tonight that you can take home, whether you are dating, you're married, you're divorced. I am a divorcee, and every person that I speak to on the show, and I'm the host, I always gain something from, and I always use it as a tool to take on, after we get off of the show, because it's so much greater than just sitting up watching a show. I don't want to be that. It's not in for entertainment. If you are here for entertainment, then this isn't the show for you, right? I'm going to be like my pastor. I'm not begging anybody to be a viewer just for entertainment, but I am asking you to be here for the sake of wanting to do something different and wanting to be a better individual so that it can impact those who you are connected to. So again, I say thank you, Dr. Kenisha, for coming on and helping me push the vision of Make It Rise. To the viewers, thank you so much for showing up and watching and sharing. If you are watching the replay, leave your comments. We'll come back and we will respond. So you guys have a good one. Have a happy Friday. We appreciate you, and I will see you in a couple of weeks. Goodbye.